And then, like I said, and it's not a running tape. So if you have something,
Yeah. I
um,
got you.
let me put, all right, perfect. Um, so I'm here with Chaz Williams, UMass great, 3-time All Atlantic 10, 2-time All Tournament team. The list goes on. Thank you for coming on. Before I talk, I obviously want to talk about your years at UMass, but I want to talk a little bit about what just happened with Coach Kellogg coming back. I know you transferred in from Hofstra to UMass. He was obviously your head coach, but what are your thoughts on just kind of him coming back to the UMass family?
Honestly, that's big. That's huge for the program. Not just because he coached me, but because he's a great coach. And I feel like him alongside Coach Martin, they do great together. Being a guy that loves basketball, I've been able to see Coach Martin coach throughout the years and stuff like that. And being a player of Coach Kellogg, I know how he coaches, and I feel like them guys together will make a huge difference. Coach Kellogg, man, he's one of the best to do it. He put me in a position to be great. He challenged me every day in practice. He didn't allow me to be complacent with things. He always pushed me, and that's what drove me to be who I was in 18.
Yeah, definitely. And you talked about obviously Coach Martin, both of them trying to revitalize UMass basketball a little bit. You were obviously a huge part of that. Your senior year, you brought UMass back. I think the last time they had been back was 98. You guys make it in 2013, 14. But, even just a little before that, what went into your decision, to transfer from Hofstra to come to UMass? Obviously, you were all freshman CAA team at Hofstra. So you were successful there. But kind of what went into your decision to kind of, start your next chapter at UMass?
For me, it was, growing up, my mom always preached loyalty to me. Loyalty, and me committing to Hofstra my sophomore year of high school. A lot of other schools came after me, like my junior year, my senior year, but and at times I did want it to decommit. To be brutally honest, Pittsburgh came at me with an offer, and I was ready to decommit and sign the Pitt. And this before I even played at Hofstra. So for me, it was all about loyalty. And once I got the Hofstra, I was there. It was great. But the guy that I signed to play for took a job at Fordham. So for me, it was kind of a little gut check, you know what I mean? Because I've been committed for this guy for the past 3-4 years, and I've only got 1 year to play with him. So, after he left, I just opened up my recruiting, and from there, we had a few schools that was contacting me. The schools that I really wanted, because I kind of wanted to do the Big East. I really wanted to go to Big East, St. John's or Rutgers to be precise. But they had took that off of my transfer list, meaning that those was one of the schools I couldn't go to because they felt like they would play them in the near future, and they didn't want that. So when I was starting to transfer, UMass had called me. I had already went on a visit to Seton Hall because once I told you I wanted to go Big East. I already went to an interview to a visit to Seton Hall. I love Seton Hall, love the coaching staff. Just the school was too small. It was similar to Hofstra to me. And then I went on my UMass visit. The campus was amazing. And then, just taking a stroll through campus and going to the library. I remember it like it was yesterday. We was in the library, and Coach Kellogg said to me, he said, I won't promise you anything. I can't promise you will start. I can't promise you will play 30 minutes. But the only thing I can tell you, if you come in and work hard every single day, you will get the minutes you deserve. So from there, that was like, what? Okay. I never had that before. Most coaches tell me, Chaz, you're coming in, you're starting right away. You want to be the man. And he didn't tell me that. And from right there, it was like, wow, what? So I went home. I put myself in a college hoops game. And it was history from there. It was like, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to UMass.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, like I said, I mentioned obviously in the beginning, obviously you had an extremely successful season, not just, career, at UMass and in the A10 as well. Again, the 3 years you played, you were an all A10 member. leading into your senior year, obviously you guys were building that program up. As I mentioned before, it had been since, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 98 since UMass had been in the tournament. What went into that off season, or was there a time leading into your senior year when you guys knew, all right, this season could be special. We got a squad, because you guys opened that season winning 11 in a row. But what was there a moment in that off season, or what was it like your junior to senior year where, was there a moment you felt like, all right, this is, we got this?
I can tell you for sure it happened selection Sunday, my junior year, because we felt we'd done enough to get a bid into the tournament. And when we didn't get the bid, it was like, okay, we got more work to do collectively as a group. And with me being the leader, I kind of took on that mentality. Like from that day, it was like we got more work to do. Every day we come in the gym, we have more work to do. Then you got guys like Caddy the Lane that's, every day pushing it. Then you got guys like Raphael Putney that's coming, bringing it every day. Then Maxie Esho. And then you got guys that's sitting out like Jabari Hines that was bringing it every day. So our practices became super competitive, like super competitive, to the point it was like, if we don't challenge each other in practice, the games will be so hard, because nobody will know our plays like we know our plays. Nobody will understand our tendencies like we do. So, if we practice as hard as we can, then, maybe the games would be a lot easier. So that summer going into it, we the best team in the country. That's how we felt. That's how we practiced. That's how we played. And coaches did a great job giving us that energy, feeding us that energy, giving us the tools that we need to feel that way. We in the weight room, our strength coach at the time, Rich Hogan, he did an amazing job with us. He challenged us in the weight room to become who we were, you know what I mean, to sustain those long games and to play the style that we played. So honestly, I just say that we all just kind of, after selection Sunday, it was like a switch in our head that said, okay, it's time to go. We understood what we did this year was good, but it wasn't good enough. So in order to make that next step, we got to be great.
Yeah. No, and then, like I said, you could see it, obviously, the focus, your first 11 games, like I said, you're winning, you beat Boston College to start the year. That's when Boston College, would play UMass. I know that game doesn't happen, sadly, anymore. You beat a top 20 New Mexico team. You go on, beat a PC team, that ends up going to the tournament, but it's clicking, obviously going into A10 play. What do you remember about kind of starting conference play? And just a little bit, obviously, I love the Atlantic 10, but what the conference was like that, your year, 2014, a couple great squads, and obviously great athletes as well. But what do you remember just going into, obviously laying the groundwork for a tournament run, but entering, Atlantic 10 play?
We knew it wasn't going to be easy for sure. The A10 at that time was stacked, loaded. You got VCU, Rhode Island. We can keep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can keep going with schools. Xavier, even after they left the conference, St. Louis. So we can definitely. The league was tough. I'm not gonna lie. The league was very tough, but for us, we knew how good we were. And those games that you mentioned with non-conference like New Mexico, that whole South Carolina trip that we had when we played, like, I think New Mexico, I want to say Clemson or something like that. Yeah. I played like, excuse my language, but I played bad.
Yeah.
I played bad that whole trip, and we won. We were successful. So that kind of let us know that, I can have bad games and we can still win against big and good teams, So going into A10, it was just, okay, every game we're just going to try to dominate. We're going to impose, and we're just going to display UMass basketball. We never really worried about other teams much, because we always felt if we did what we had to do, we would always be successful. So going into A10, it was just a dog mentality. Like, all right, we know it's gonna be a dog fight every game. No matter who we're playing, it's gonna be a dog fight. Fordham will come in, They might be last in the conference, but they're gonna come in and give everything they got. And they was coached by Tom Pecora, who was my old coach at Hofstra. So that was always like, the A10 wasn't nothing to play with. It was definitely a tough league, tough, strong league. From first place to last place, it was a dogfight every night. So for me, it was one of the better competitions I had, like every day, every game, every night.
Yeah. And like you said, you had talked about obviously the disappointment your junior year, but what was it like? What do you remember? Just kind of, obviously you guys knew you'd be in the tournament, but hearing your name, hearing UMass coming back to the tournament, it had been so long, but seeing that you guys had made that, I know obviously didn't turn out exactly probably as you guys wanted. I know you guys ended up losing to Tennessee in the first round, but making the tournament, playing in that atmosphere, what was that like? What do you pull from that, moment?
Not everybody can speak on it. You know what I mean? It's a true blessing. I'm forever thankful that we made it. You know what I mean? That's why I came back to school to have that chance of making the NCAA and, being one of them teams that Sweet 16 or having the big runs. So for me, honestly, it was a kid's dream come true. This is all you see on TV, NCAA March Madness, and then you hear Dick Vitale's a PT peer. That whole atmosphere, the whole experience was amazing. Was truly amazing. From the way they treated us when we landed to, when we was leaving. The whole experience was something, I hope every college athlete can experience, but I know every college athlete can experience. But if you are one of them schools where you do have a chance to make the tournament, that is something you want to experience. I'm thankful. I'm happy. It didn't go the way we wanted it to go, but we got that experience. We got that opportunity and we rewrote history. You know what I mean? After 12 years of not being in the tournament, to make the tournament, obviously we didn't do good to have a run, but to make it that far is pretty big.
Oh, definitely. And I said a couple, one last question, and then I wanted to do that 2 minutes in the A10 with you, if that's fine, just kind of your
no
rundown. But, I don't know what your thoughts are on this. And someone as an outsider, I like to ask this question to everyone I talk about, or every athlete I talk to about college in regards to, it seems like UMass, again, especially in the last, 4 to 6 years, seems like they've put a lot of emphasis on kind of bringing back alum. Maybe this is something they've always done, but kind of just celebrating its past, bringing alumni, basketball alumni back together. What is the UMass, fraternity, if you want to call it, like for you in terms of feeling that, that need to maybe go back, or feeling that the university, values what you've done and values, previous players as well?
It's like a brotherhood. It's a big family, like a big extended family. I remember at one point in my professional career, things wasn't going the way I wanted it to go, and I was able to call Marcus Camby. He was able to give me some advice. We was able to talk a little bit. And that's just on a smaller scale, I know you mentioned how, alumni are coming back to be a part of the staff and, once again, be a part of the family. But just on a smaller scale, things like that. Derek Kellogg checks on me, I want to say more often than some family members. His son to me is like a brother. Mm-hmm. So it's like we all stick together in a way, and who else better to be a part of a staff or help run a program that was a part of the program, so it's definitely beautiful. It's an amazing thing to see how, alums, Ricky Harris, being on staff, that guy was one of the best shooters at UMass to ever be there, and now he's on staff and he can give his knowledge and his experiences to somebody else. And maybe it'll resonate different with, the athletes and the young kids now, from a player's perspective, because I know, being a young man, hearing from a coach that you don't see no highlights of, or, you don't even know when he played basketball, he shoot back here, he tell you he averaged 30, you know, it's a little difficult, but when you got a player that you can, or a coach, I should say, that you can, you know, do some research on and see, you know, this guy is really good, you know, then maybe, you know, the information will be collected a lot easier, I should say. So it's just a big family. UMass, you know, it's always been my family since I left there, since I've been there. Everybody, even down to Bamford, I'm sorry, even down to him. Uh, you know, we talk every now and then on Twitter. You know what I mean? He's telling me come to some games. I told him I wanted a hockey jersey when UMass won the championship, and I still have yet to get it. So I'm gonna talk to him about that one.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, if I have any negatives, that'll be the only one.
All right.
So it's definitely a beautiful family brotherhood. Yeah.
Love it. That's awesome. All right, perfect. Yeah. So if you don't mind, I was gonna we'll do that like 2 minutes, 8-10, whatever comes to mind, kind of like hardest arena, some players you remember, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Within the conference, within the 8-10.
Yeah.
All right. So again, I'm here with Chaz Williams, 3-time Atlantic 10 all conference team, brought UMass back to the tournament in 2014. Within the Atlantic 10, the most obnoxious fan base that you dealt with throughout your Atlantic 10 career?
URI.
All right.
URI, for sure.
Hardest defender, even if you did well against him, but the hardest defender you had to deal with?
Him being a defender against
Defending
me.
you, yeah.
Briante Weber, by no chance, by far, Briante Weber.
All right. One team that you feel like throughout your career at UMass you lit up. You couldn't wait to play this team for whatever reason. You feel like you had a game.
Fordham.
Because
of my old coach.
A little extra motivation there, right?
Yeah, and I just knew he would never beat me.
Yeah, love it, love it. One moment, maybe at UMass that you could go back to, kind of one of the highlights of your career at UMass. Again, Atlantic 10 game, not NCAA tournament, but at UMass that, you know, if you could go back and just kind of be in that atmosphere again, is there a game you remember?
It's a couple. I'll give you two. One would be VCU. I want to say the last game at home against VCU. It was sold out arena. I think VCU was making a little comeback. The score was close. Briante Weber like kind of got by me, and I like back tipped him, plucked him, stole the ball, and sealed the deal, made the free throws. And then another would be senior night against St. Louis. Unfortunately, we lost, but that was a hell of a game and a beautiful atmosphere.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you